Okay, before Shavuos, we were trying to learn up ideas that would bring us to Kabbalah Torah, what we needed to learn to prepare ourselves for the acceptance of the Torah by Shavuos. Once we get to the Torah, we know that the purpose of everything was for one reason. And the reason was that Klal Yisrael should have the mitzvahs, and we should keep the mitzvahs and live our lives accordingly. So one of the greatest struggles, especially perhaps in this generation, is to do the mitzvahs b'simcha, to do them with joy. We know what they are. We try to understand what they mean. There are many mitzvot, many mitzvahs that we have to keep. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that when a person does them, they should be done with the midah, with the attribute of simcha. So the next chapter that we're going to learn in Orchos Yosher together is Simcha Shal Mitzvah, the joy that a person should exude when doing a mitzvah. And he quotes like this, Matzina b'Chazal, we find in Chazal, B'kama Makor many different places. They warn us, or they instruct us, that the proper way to do a mitzvah is b'simcha. When a person goes to the baseball game, they're happy, because they enjoy it. When they go to the restaurant and they're getting that juicy steak, they're happy because they enjoy it. When the kids come in from out of town and you get to spend the day with them, or the week with them, or the Yom Tov with them, you're happy, you enjoy it. A person has 613 opportunities every single day to commune together with HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the mitzvahs that Hashem has given us. So, if you're going to be happy about the baseball game, and about the steak, and about your kids coming in from out of town, so then certainly when you're communing together with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem would like us to be happy. The Amr, when it says, a person should always perform the mitzvahs of the Torah, b'simcha, with joy, and it will be considered to him like tzedakah, not charity, but it will be like an act of righteousness. Meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu understands that the normal way in which people keep mitzvahs, unfortunately, is not b'simcha. Most of us are not walking around, dancing down the streets, doing backflips and jumping jacks and shouting out to the world how happy we are. So therefore, if a person would be from those few who serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'simcha, with joy, it is tzedakah, it is an act of righteousness that the person is doing. You just catapulted yourself to another level. Furthermore, it says in the Midrash, the Torah has taught us the proper way of life. When a person does a mitzvah, they should do that mitzvah with a happy and a glad and a joyous heart. Further, it says in the Midrash, Hashem says, if you will guard the mitzvahs, and you will rejoice in them. So there's two things. We have to guard the mitzvahs. So you might as well enjoy what you're going to have to do anyway. You got to go to work in the morning. You might as well pick a job that you like. You got to you got to drive carpool. You might as well smile in the morning when you're taking the kids. Otherwise, the sour, scowling face doesn't make your kids get too happy about going to school. It says the Midrash, so you have two things over here. Number one, you have to be mishamres hamitzvah. You have to guard the mitzvahs. You have to keep them. And v'tismechu behen, if you will rejoice in the mitzvahs that you are keeping, ani ma'isiv lechem simcha, I'll add more simcha to your life. You could rejoice about Torah. You could rejoice about putting on tefillin at 6:30 in the morning. You could rejoice about keeping your mouth shut from speaking lashon hara. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you rejoice in the mitzvahs that you do, I will find ways to increase the simcha to your life. You need a shidduch for your child. You need a child. You need a shalom bayis. You need parnasa. All those things are what's going to bring you simcha in your life. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you be happy for me, I'll be happy for you, and I'll make you happy. When it says furthermore, b'mitzvayisav chafetz ma'od, it says in the pasuk in Tehillim that in your mitzvahs I desired ma'od very much. Shelo yasa mitzvah b'angaria. A person should not do the mitzvah like it's a tax, like it's a yoke on their neck. Ella b'simcha, rather they should do it with joy. What is the way that many people are miskarev, they are brought in underneath the wings of the Shekhinah, how many people did the Torah excite them and interest them that they were willing to give up their lives because they saw something valuable? It's not because they saw people moping around in shul. It's not because they saw people sitting at the Shabbos table bored out of their mind, or they saw them on the 3-day Yom Tov scratching their skin because they're wondering when is that clock going to finally strike 8:46 and we can finally say, let's get out of here. What attracted people to Yiddishkeit, those people that became Bali Tshuva, or the Gerim, the people that converted, what attracted them? They saw other Yidden who were happy with what they're doing. They saw a Jew who sits at a Shabbos table and he rejoices over the fact that he has a Shabbos. They saw a Jew come to shul and actually enjoy his davening. I remember myself from many years ago, my first Rosh Hashanah, my first real Rosh Hashanah, I was in Bnei Brak, of all places. And I was standing in a very, very serious shul. And there was a man who was davening in that shul. I can never forget his face. It was a red beard, red hair. And he was davening. I saw a person talking to Hashem for the first time in my life. And it made such an impression on me. I said, you could talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When we were younger, we learned there's a God, okay, He's in the world, fine. But that you could have a dialogue with Hashem, pour out your heart like that. It was like a life-changing moment where you see somebody who's living a life of Yiddishkeit in such a way. So you can't mope around when you do mitzvahs. You have to look happy. Even if you're not happy, you have to make yourself look happy. They say that Rav Nosson C. Finkel, the great Rosh Yeshiva of the Mir, so he suffered many years from Parkinson's disease, and it took over his entire body, his entire system, and he trembled, he shook, his body would flail all over the place, and it was hard for him to speak very often. But every picture that you see of this man who is suffering and writhing in pain, almost every single picture, he always has a big smile on his face. So they once asked him, Rebbe, how are you always smiling? You're suffering, you're in pain, your mind doesn't work the right way, your body, how are you always smiling? So he said, I know that I look strange. And I know that all the children on the streets are staring at me because they see my hands fly, my legs are flying, I can't talk the right way, I can't walk by myself. He says, I work so hard to keep the smile on my face so that the children should know that with all the suffering and all the pain, everything I go through, I'm still a happy person. So they should see the smile. That's what he's saying over here. Don't do the mitzvah like it's an old, taxing, weighing down on you, walk like this. Ela b'simcha. Person has to keep mitzvah b'simcha, b'kala rabasi, libcha sameach. A person's heart should be overflowing with happiness, lahader mitzvah, in order to glorify the mitzvah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us. So, if you're listening to these words and you're wondering what in the world is he talking about, what is this whole idea? Joy, dance around, smile, be happy, enjoy the mitzvah that you're doing. So, Baruch Hashem, we still have a few pages to go over here, and by the time that we finish this chapter, we will be overflowing with the simcha for a mitzvah. Be'ez Hashem.